Okay, cell membrane introduction. Okay. So why are we talking about a cell membrane? Because this relates to what we're learning here in chemistry with polarity and dissolving. Okay, so you should know already that your cell membrane is found in an animal cell and a plant cell. We're going to focus on the animal cell. So the cell membrane, is located in the perimeter of the cell. You have the nucleus, you have the Golgi bodies, everything else. But I'm focused right here. So right outside here you've got water. On the outside you've got water on the inside and other fluids. So you've got what you call extracellular fluid out here on the exterior of the cell, mostly water. And this right here is called intracellular fluid, within the cell. So right here you got polar and polar. Oops, sorry, that should be a negative. Oops, just put polar. But here's the thing. What is the cell membrane made of? Well, the cell membrane is a structure that is amphipathic. And amphi means both in Latin. And we're going to do Latin. And pathic means conditions. So what do you think we're talking about? What is both? Well, both means the cell membrane is both two things. What are the conditions? Polar and nonpolar. So that's how they got that word through Latin. That's what we're going to learn. Pathic means conditions, or pathos means conditions. Amphi means both. Cell membrane is amphi, both pathic conditions, made of two different structures. And you're going to learn that a structure, this is where it leads to. Leads to a function. Write that down big. Structure leads to function. The structure of the cell membrane allows it to have a function to work, and I'm going to show you in a minute. So it's amphipathic, so make sure you have that written. Okay, so let's make this into a microscope. Let's magnify this area right here. Okay, I'm going to draw something, and you'll get better visuals in a minute. So the cell membrane is made of a phospholipid bilayer. Okay, phospho. That means a phosphate group. Phosphate group, and we think right there polar. Lipid is a fat. Well, yeah, I've mentioned it before, and you should know this if you don't. Go back and watch it. Fat, oils, and waxes, right? It's made of a phospholipid bilayer. The fats are non-polar. They are made of hydrocarbons, CH molecules. Okay? Bilayer, this means two layers. So the cell membrane is a phosphophosphate group at the polar region, lipid, fat region, non-polar, two layers. That's why it's amphi, both, pathic. Okay? So far so good. Okay, so what does it look like? It's going to look funny. So inside here you've got these heads. I'm just going to draw a little segment. And it's got two tails. And I'm not going to draw them perfectly just yet. We're just going to draw like this. One has a bend right here. We'll get to that later when we get to biochem. That shouldn't be connected right there. Sorry, that's a bad drawing. Okay, but you get the idea. Okay. That's just one layer. What about the other layer? Don't worry about how I bent them. There's just no like two tails for now, okay? Okay. So now, here's the inside with polar water. So here is right here. Here's the extracellular. Okay, now, so you have a phospholipid bilayer. So here's my thing. Where do you think the polar region is? The polar region is right here. I'm going to put a P here. Why? Because the exterior region of the cell membrane needs to be able to interact with water. It has to be water friendly. What about inside the cell membrane? This is the fatty, I'm not kidding you, acid tail. And this is non-polar. And it's all in this area right here. All this green is that. So the polar area is the phosphate group, and I'll show you that in the next video. Right here. This can handle water. This right here is water. Water, 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 water. Inside hates water, it's dry. So here's your last little part, just a little overview. So I'm going to erase this here. So right here you've got the phospholipid. Here's the phosphate heads that are polar. Lipid right here. Bilayer. Bi means two, one, two layers. One, two. And this is amphipathic because these structures are both polar at the red part and non-polar. Okay? And last part I want to add. This region right here, the polar region, loves water. This loves water. So we call that hydro, meaning water, philic. Hydro, you need to know that word, philic. Hydrophilic. Okay, so with that being said, what does hydro mean? Water. Water. Philic means loving, L-O-V-I-N-G. Where's the city? What do you call the city of brotherly love? Philadelphia. I'm not kidding you, that's what it means. Phil means loving in Latin. Hydro means the prefix for water in Latin. Water-loving polar region. Well, what do you call this area? The non-polar region, we call that hydro, water. I'm going to put the second part down here. It's supposed to be one word. I'll write it on here, but you won't see it. Phobic, P-H-O-B-I-C. Does anybody have a phobia or fear of something? Well, this non-polar region fears water because it does not like water because water is polar, so it's water hating. So we call this, once again, hydrophobic. Okay? So here's my thing. Why do you think the cell membrane protects the cell? Because it can only allow certain things to pass in and out of it, depending on their chemical structure, depending on whether it's polar or non-polar. I know in 7th grade you've learned just the basics, but the chemical structure is the reason why it can only allow certain things to pass in and out of it. So that's an overall general view of the cell membrane. Now we're going to go one step further.